What's up everyone, today we're going to be discussing the top 10 games we want to see launched with the Nintendo Antec, and then the 10 games that will realistically be launch titles. We discuss our ideals for a new 3D Mega Man game, Luigi's Mansion 3, and much more. Here with me is Shesez, but I would love for you to be a part of the conversation as well. So share your thoughts in the comments below, and with that out of the way, let's get started. What are the top 10 games that you would love to see launched on the Nintendo Antec?
Prefer to see instead of realistically see?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And we'll get into realistic expectations after this.
Okay. Cool. So, all right. I got this. Ready? A new Earthbound game, new Star Tropics game, a new Metroid game, another Star Fox game.
A good Star Fox game.
Yeah. Oh, I like Star Fox Hero.
Well, it's good, but it's a reimagined 64.
Absolutely, yeah, you're right about that. But that was kind of what I was somewhat looking forward to. I wanted it to be a sequel, but They got the gameplay right. They got the voices right. A new Pikmin game. Let's see.
Yeah,
of course,
the Pikmin is actually one of the games that we know for sure is going to be coming out sometime relatively soon. So
I'm hoping. Yeah, they came out with an article recently about how I guess it's being held back a little bit, but it's still in development, something to that effect. I would also like to see a new Beautiful Joe. That's never gonna happen.
Is that Capcom?
That's Capcom, yeah.
Oh, that's a possibility.
Let's see. I would like to see a fully voice acted, high budget Phoenix Wright game. A new Mega Man game, but I want it to be like, I want it to have the graphical style of Mega Man in Super Smash Bros. 4, and I want it to have co-op and have the second player be Proto Man.
Yeah, I'm totally going to steal this from this other podcast that I listen to a lot, but if anyone listening or possibly who Kinda Funny are, Colin Moriarty has talked a few times about his dream Mega Man game that he would like to be made, and it's basically, if you know the story from Mega Man 1 and 2.
Somewhat, yeah.
Dr. Wily reprograms the robots from Dr. Light, I think, and does all that, but his is basically like an open world game, to where like in the center there's the hub world, and then as you travel out through this open world, like you can go in, just as you can play basically all the Mega Man games, you can choose which boss you go after, but say like the robots would be in an area that they're meant to be in, so like they wouldn't be in like random places or whatever, like the location they're in would make sense as to what their robot was. And it was basically you play through and beat all of the robots from Mega Man 2, and then after you get past all of them, you go for the robots from Mega Man 1. So it kind of reverses the two, but puts them together in an open world game.
Oh, that'd be cool. I think if I was, for me, I would very much like to have the co-op experience. Still have. Maybe not so much a hub world. I'm not sure if I'd want that in a Mega Man game. Yeah. So, like, basically, I'd want it to be translated in a modern sort of way. So, like, in the NES version, all the boss portraits were highly detailed, and then when you selected the boss, they had like a chibi version of them, pretty much. Now, I'd like for in-game, when you're fighting the bosses, for all the bosses to basically look in the style that Mega Man has in Smash 4. But for the boss portraits, it would be really cool if they were like hyper detailed or something, but still with that 3D graphics. I just think that something would be lost if they just took, the same 3D model that they used for when you're actually fighting the boss versus how they look in their little boss portraits. But I don't know. That's kind of like, I've had this weird fantasy about how Mega Man should be for like a long time now, but co-op is definitely at the top of that list. I think it could really benefit from having a friend help you through like the arduous adventure of how a Mega Man game is.
Yeah. All right. So realistically, what games do you expect that we get from the moment that it launched up to the holiday season of next year?
So I think realistically, we're gonna get the Zelda, obviously, launch day. We're going to get Smash Brothers, and I'm going to assume that that's going to be a summer title. And I'm hoping.
Wasn't it Namco Bandai was working on that game supposedly? Like
right.
Whether it be a port or a brand new game, like they were the ones rumored to be working on the next Smash Brothers.
That's right. Yep. And that's why I'm pretty certain it's going to happen. I think there was like a all but confirmed report on that. So the question is whether or not they're going to add extra content or not. And I'm for some reason I'm being pessimistic about it. I really feel like Sakurai's not going to want to put extra time into this game now at this point, and we're just going to get a complete edition for the NX. But I really do hope that they add extra stuff. Of course, I mean, who wouldn't want extra stuff?
Yeah, like I know the characters were mostly the same, but if they added in the levels from the 3DS version,
sure.
Especially since
Magisan.
Again, rumors this is going to be a home console and handheld version, like console mixed together. So if this took both of those games and mixed them together for the NX, it would kind of make sense.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if there was to be a couple more features added, I would like a Battlefield version of every stage. That'd be great. And yeah, maybe just 2 or 3 more stages. I'm trying to think of like some characters that could use an extra stage, but it's not coming to my mind right now. I guess Pikmin could use one more extra stage.
Yeah, it would be nice to see like a Breath of the Wild Link version.
Oh,
where,
that
like he, instead of looking like how he does in Smash 4, maybe the 3rd or the 4th color from him, instead of looking like Fierce Deity or Dark Link, it looks like the Blue Tunic Link that we see in Breath of the Wild.
Yes, please.
Like,
get me some alternate costumes. Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, I'm thrilled to death that they gave Little Mac an alternate costume. That was beyond a great gesture for a Punch-Out fan like me. And by the way, fantasy titles. I didn't get to do 9 and 10. 9 would be Punch-Out,
Right.
and 10 would be Zack and Wiki.
Ooh, that's a deep pull.
Oh yeah. But I loved Zack and Wiki. I would definitely like to see another one of those. But yeah, to get back to realistic. So Smash in the summer. I think a new Mario in holiday season is extremely likely. And we haven't heard anything about it, and it's definitely not ever going to be a summer title. So if it's like a reimagined Super Mario game, you gotta bet your bottom dollar it's gonna be on the November 20th slot.
Right. So is this going to be a 2D or 3D Mario?
I might have mentioned it in the last discussion we had, but I think that if it's quote unquote going to be revolutionized, I think they're going to pull a Sonic Generations route and try to bring both audiences together, because what we have right now is a whole bunch of new Super Mario Brothers games, because so many people buy them. Like a lot of casual audiences buy into the new Super Mario Brothers games, and so it's very, very profitable. But then on the other hand, you got extremely good quality when it comes to 3D adventures.
Right.
And so I think
we've seen like the popularity that, well, a lot of people thought 3D platforming was kind of dead except for Mario. But then we've seen games like Ukulele come out to where everyone wants this game.
Oh yeah.
So obviously there's still a demand for it. So Nintendo could look at that, and then with Mario Maker they could say, well, if they want more 2D Mario games, they can just make it themselves. For now, we're going to kind of go this route because of the popularity that Ukulele has, and we're going to put our chips in that corner for now.
Yeah. Well, it's been stated that 3D Mario games don't sell poorly by any means. They just they still make a profit, but they're just not as profitable as these easy to make new Super Mario Brothers games. And so, like, from a business standpoint, Nintendo has to look at it and be like, well, this one takes so much more effort to make, and we're not making as much profit by doing it. So it becomes a conflict of interest. But like you said, if you make a good platform game, people will buy it, and that's the misconception that the industry has had for a very long time. Is they came out with this sleuth of really bad platforming games, and they didn't sell well because the market, us, the consumer, could identify it as a bad game, and we just didn't buy into it. And so the statistics read out to all these publishers that we don't like platforming games anymore. Well, they're wrong. It's that we haven't had a good quality one since like Banjo-Kazooie or the 3D Mario games.
Right.
So I think, but what I think Nintendo, well, at least what I think would be advantageous to Nintendo is to try to meld the two genres together, and I don't think that would make any of us unhappy to have. I love 2D Mario, I love 3D Mario, and if there's a way to penetrate the market of 2D Mario players into the 3D realm, it would be smart for them to do it.
Right. So typically, this is the obvious answer. Nintendo console launches with the Mario game. We've seen it almost every generation. But if you remember back to the GameCube, we had Luigi's Mansion as the launch Mario series game. So there were rumors of a third Luigi's Mansion. Do you think that's something that we could be seeing, and then they save the Mario game for their Christmas or holiday release, and then we get Luigi's Mansion at launch? Or do you think it's reversed if the rumors are true, and we get Mario first with Luigi's Mansion coming later?
So I think Nintendo's safe if they want to do a Luigi's Mansion. The thing is that, and I only say that because Zelda's going to be coming out on launch day as well.
Right.
So
you wouldn't want like your two biggest franchises going head to head.
Right. So Nintendo can wipe the sweat from their brow there, but if you recall, the GameCube didn't sell that great. Which is a very big shame because it was such a fantastic console with a lot of innovative ideas. But Pikmin and Luigi's Mansion were the launch titles for that console, and it did not bring them, the audience that they were hoping for.
Right.
And I just don't think that they'll make, and I won't use the word mistake, but I don't think they'll be that brave again. But going back again to what I was saying, what I was prefacing with is that they're going to launch with the new Zelda, so it doesn't really hurt them to also come out with Luigi's Mansion on launch day as well, or within the launch window, which is like 3 months out. So it's possible. I just, you will never see like a GameCube type launch ever again, though, where it was just two incredibly innovative franchises being made for the first time. Like, it's just not going to happen.
So I would like that traditional behind the back 3D Luigi's Mansion game, to where right now we have like a 2.5D, to where we have a fixed camera angle, and then we can go back and forth, left, right, up and down. We can move in 3D, but the camera is fixed at that one angle, which works perfect for the Luigi Mansion games. But for them to launch on a new console that is much more powerful, I believe they would be able to get away with like a 3D behind the back. Like, there wouldn't be any limits necessarily that would stop them, because I believe the reason that the first Luigi's Mansion, and probably even the second Luigi's Mansion game, was like that was because I believe there was a handful of games, or maybe just this one game, Luigi's Mansion, when it first released on the GameCube. The GameCube had an accessory that would let you play the game in 3D, kind of like how the 3DS does. Right. And Luigi's Mansion was created to be played in 3D. And the best way to get that 3D effect where you're traveling back and forth on the screen is with this type of game, to where the camera's fixed and then you can see Luigi moving back and forth on the screen.
Yeah, like a fishbowl 3D.
Yeah, because if the camera is permanently behind his back, then the environment goes back and forth as you move, but the main character that you're constantly seeing, you're not really getting a 3D effect from them. And I think this is also why we see, whenever they made their first, or actually both of their original Zelda titles, instead of taking the same engine that they created for Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 3D that had that camera style, they created a new engine and went with A Link Between Worlds, to where it is the top down, but it's kind of angled to where it's like that 2.5D instead of full 3D.
Do you think that the new Luigi, like if this does turn out to be true, do you think the new Luigi's Mansion will be scarier, or would you like for it to be a bit scarier, or do you like how it's kind of more lighthearted like it is in Dark Moon?
I think it'll be more lighthearted. Like, the deeper you get into the game, like the ghosts or the story might get a bit creepier, because I think a lot of the casual people that would just be in for like the lighthearted fun will probably play the game halfway through or something like that. I don't think they would be dedicated enough to spend the time and actually complete the game. So if it, as the game progressed, if it kind of got a bit spookier, or if there were just things going on in the background that you may not notice, like a journal or a diary that you could skip that has something to add to the story to make it kind of spookier, like we've seen in the first Luigi's Mansion, when you're up in the attic and like the way the lighting is, it looks like Luigi's kind of hanging there. They say that's like a graphical bug, the way the lighting works and stuff. But honestly, I think that's something that was intentional, because I don't think they expected that many people to actually make it that far in the game, because not a lot of people actually complete games unless you're an actual gamer. Especially, like, I think they just thought, well, a lot of people buy Mario games, but how many people actually play through them and finally beat Bowser and save the princess? A lot of people just like to pick it up and play for fun for a few hours.
Right.
So I think putting stuff like that in once you get so far in the game would be the best way to do that, if they wanted to go that more, not necessarily mature route, but adding in that extra spookiness, because it is a ghost game. So, right. I mean, it has to be a little spooky.
That's what I was thinking that too. I mean, either way, I liked Dark Moon a lot. So either one's fine, but as an adult, of course, I like to be challenged with something that's a little spookier, you know.
So, comparing the two, if you wanted to go to Luigi's Mansion 3, would you want it to be one giant mansion, or would you like the separated mansions again? Because I talked about this in a past video, and if they did make Luigi's Mansion 3, I would like it to where there's like a subdivision of mansions with like one giant mansion at the end. And you can go in and out of one mansion into another mansion as you please. Or it may not even all be mansions, like maybe one's a school or something. Yeah, or a museum. And then you can freely, almost like open world-esque, like not necessarily open world, but if like Super Mario 64, to where you could go to the different places, or how Banjo-Kazooie is kind of open world.
Right. I think I did put some thought, like my idea of a Luigi's Mansion sequel was different from what we ended up getting on the 3DS. I've again, this is all I do, is just come up with crazy ideas. But a while back, when I was thinking about what I'd like to see in a Luigi's Mansion sequel, it's not too far off from what you were just saying, although I would compare it to something like Metal Gear Solid, where the entire experience can be played from beginning to end, and it's not segmented in any sort of way. I would like to see that out of Luigi's Mansion. So like you start off in the mansion, and then like you come out the back end, and there's like you go through the woods, and then there's like scenarios that involve the woods, and then when you get to the outside of the woods, there's a graveyard, and then you can go like underground or something like that, and then you're like in a creepy underground cavern or something like that, and it like leads to a lair. You know what I mean? So like all things that are spooky and can involve ghosts, but just it's not like just various mansions or various enclosed buildings. Like I'd love to see a variety of environments.